Welcome, Titan 6 Actual and 3GX Mental Performance. Welcome you to breaking barriers beyond the finish line. I'm your co-host, Lou Greco from Titan 6 Actual, and alongside me is the brilliant Sarah Grippi-Snyder from 3GX. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the human spirit, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. So whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, or simply someone seeking inspiration, this show is for you. We'll explore stories of triumph, setbacks, and unwavering determination that propels us forward. As a retired Army Engineer Reservist, I've faced challenges on the battlefield and beyond, and now I'm on a mission to help you discover your inner type.
And I'm Sarah, also known as Coach Grip, a mental performance coach. Together, we dive into the psychology of peak performance, mindset strategies, and how to overcome mental blocks. Whether you're aiming for the podium or simply striving for personal growth, we've got you covered. Join us as we explore the intersection of physical and mental strength, share expert insights, and celebrate those who go beyond the finish line. So grab your headphones, lace up your sneakers, and let's break barriers together. Remember, it's not just about crossing the finish line, it's about what lies beyond. Welcome to Breaking Barriers Beyond the Finish Line. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes where we'll feature incredible guests, share practical tips, and ignite the fire within you.
Hey guys, this is Lou Greco with Titan 6 Actual.
And I am Sarah Grippi-Snyder from 3GX Mental Performance Training.
And what we're doing here is kicking off the first of our podcast series, Breaking Barriers Beyond the Finish Line. And so let me just start by introducing myself and Titan 6 Actual. So Titan 6 Actual is my brand. It's more than just apparel. It is, our mission is to inspire and empower people to become the best version of themselves, and then help others to do the same. And that is built on the ethos, the Titan ethos, which is growth, purpose, and leadership.
So my name is Sarah, but I actually like to be called Coach Grip, and I am the owner of 3GX. And what 3GX is, I'm a wellness and health professional. And basically what I do, we help you identify your strengths. We want to overcome your weaknesses, and we really want to be able to unlock your full potential, no matter what that obstacle might be in front of you.
And so who we are together, the partnership between 3GX and Titan 6 Actual, if you haven't already discovered, there's quite a bit of overlap between the ethos and what Sarah does at 3GX. So the combination of exploring how you can grow as an individual, as a member of a team, discover your purpose through exercises that Sarah is already performing in her private practice as 3GX, and then passing that on, kind of mentoring those around us to just make the world a better place.
So the point of the podcast is to basically show a fresh perspective to our community and to be able to highlight the everyday athletes on their past adversities that they've been able to, and how they were able to overcome and break those barriers back in the day. So this podcast, we're definitely going to show some athletes' vulnerable side, which is necessary to be able to tap into that long-term growth. So today, Lou and I have our own personal stories to show you exactly what we mean by this.
So, like, as I like to call my origin story, everyone has their own individual origin story, but myself and how Titan 6 Actual came to be is, starting from nearly 30 years ago. Well, actually, it's been just over 30 years ago now that I did my first ruck in the Army when I joined up, and since then I've done too many to count. And in 2019, the most memorable one that I did was the West Point Fallen Comrades half marathon. I did it with my brother and my best friend, and the course was just a beast. And my ruck was way heavier than it needed to be. But man, at the end, I had such a sense of accomplishment in tackling something like that post-military, and also, because it was like I overachieved, but not with the intention of doing it. One of the things that I remembered most about it, I mean, there were many, but one of the things I remembered most about it was, all the other teams and individuals that were rucking and were racing together. Uh, you know, there's this sense of shared suffering, kind of like the military is anyway. And that shared suffering brings people closer together. And so, in addition to seeing that, I also saw I saw military rucks, but I also saw these rucksacks with the Go Ruck logo on it and or patches. And I was like, man, I'm familiar with that name, but never really did a deep dive on what Go Ruck was. And so I, went online, I looked into it and realized they have these ruck clubs, communities, people, getting together and doing rucks and working out together. And I was like, well, that's okay. That's right up my alley. And all right, where's the closest ruck club? And there wasn't one. The closest one was like an hour and a half away. So I got the bright idea, like, why can't I start a local ruck club? And it was exactly what I needed because, you know, I had retired from the military in 2016 and spent 22 years in the Army, and that kind of becomes your identity. Um, or at least it did for me, a major part of my identity between soldier, being a father. Um, it was, there's nothing like the camaraderie that you get, like being on any part of a team, and that's basically what the Army is like, is you're on a team. So um, that that was what inspired me to start the Hudson Valley Ruck Club, and also wanting to be able to give back with some kind of avenue. And that is ultimately what led to Titan 6 Actual, is the feeling of I still have a lot left in the tank that I wanted to give back. That, okay, the Army was a way that I used to give back by training and mentoring soldiers and developing those teams. Um, but I wanted to do that beyond the military. So Hudson Valley Ruck Club and joining that, building that community, and then trying to use Titan 6 Actual through its designs and apparel, to kind of organize people. If you know anything about, or if you don't, in the military, you use morale shirts, um, like unit morale shirts that everybody wears to work out together, and it builds a sense of camaraderie. So I wanted to kind of use that that same process to build the Titan Brigade and build a community. And over time, what we started to see is, in the Ruck Club, we were just kind of naturally leaning on each other, asking questions. Hey, I've got this situation, or I've run into this problem, whether it's, individual, personal, at work, and doing exactly what you would do in the military. You're leaning on each other and you're trying to help each other through things. And that sense of camaraderie had carried over and into the Ruck Club. And I wanted to get that same message across through Titan 6 Actual, but it was only this small group that we were able to affect. So we started going to events. We linked up with Mark Jones and Deca, and people kept asking us, hey, this is fantastic. How do I learn about the ethos? How can I adapt it to my life? And we didn't have like a formal product to say, hey, yeah, this is what we do, or this is a way to do it. And so that's where we started developing the ethos a little bit more, and hopefully through like breaking barriers and through our up and coming ethos masterclass, we'll be able to help even more people than the ones that we can physically interact with on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis with the Ruck Club, and reach more people, help more people. So that's my origin story, and Titan Six Actual's origin story.
It's very inspiring, and that's awesome that you got to start something like that, and now that's why we're here today. And I just want to also give a little bit of a background of who I am and how 3GX also became what it is today. So before I was in this community, I was really heavily involved in basketball. That was my number one sport. It was my love. It was everything to me. So I put a lot of time and dedication in there. Whenever I was in middle school, I had some back issues already starting to happen. I was, 13, 14, and I was already possibly already needing a cane. But anyways, that back issue started to get worse. And while that back issue started to get worse, I actually ended up tearing my ACL, and this kind of went on in high school. And as my ACL torn during that journey, I really was optimistic. I really didn't think anything of him, like, oh, I'm just going to go through this and I'll come right back and be just fine. And that's absolutely not what happened at all. I was very naive. I was very oblivious, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So to the point of just one little injury of the ACL, my back started to give out 10 times worse. I ended up tearing my other ACL. I ended up getting surgery on my back before I was 19. I was also diagnosed, just icing on the cake, I ended up having Crohn's disease. And back in 2010, I found that out. So it's been a really, really long journey of just trying to figure out why my body was shutting down on me. And, depression kind of felt like it was onsetting. I felt like I was alone. And a big part of me was an athlete. And I felt like I finally lost that identity, and I didn't know who I was anymore. So grades were really dropping, and I just, like I said, I felt like I was alone. And while I was figuring out what kind of college I wanted to get into, let alone was I even going to be able to get into college, because my grades were not showing that I was determined enough to be able to do something like that, I found out about sports psychology, and a whole new light kind of sparked in me. And I was like, okay, I feel like this was kind of my calling. So I went to school for general psychology, and then I ended up going and getting my master's degree in sports psychology, injury prevention, and performance enhancement. And now I'm a certified mental performance consultant, which just, a really, really fancy way of, I really want to help you organize your thoughts, become aware of things, and be able to tackle the day the best to your ability. Because one thing throughout my whole entire journey, I felt like I was the victim, and all these things were happening to me and they were out of my control. So a big mental skill that I wanted to go and overcome was to be able to control the controllables. So instead of feeling like a victim anymore, it's like, okay, I understand this is my fate, and I could cope and sit in bed all day and just let my body deteriorate as it was. Or I could find ways to make it better. And that's something that fitness has always given me, even though, sometimes I'm sore and sometimes things don't feel great. I noticed that the stronger my body is, the better that I was feeling. And, I ended up going into remission with my Crohn's disease, which is awesome. And that's why I'm able to be at such a high level athlete now. But during that whole entire time, I had absolutely nobody to talk to. And the fact that I didn't have any of those resources in front of me, I was desperate to find a community that actually understood who I was. And fitness always gave that to me, but people still kind of miss the mental portion. We talk about it all the time, but why aren't we applying it? We always talk about the physical, and we practice it, I would say, even more than 100%. But when it comes to the mental side, I ask people, how many, do you write in your journal? Do you take time and effort to get a pre-race routine? And most people say it's less than 1%. So that's why me and Lou are together now, because we think that Titan 6 Actual and 3GX have a really, really good vision of what we want to see the mental side of these athletics be. And with his military background and my sports background and all sorts of different levels, I know I talked about basketball, but I played many sports side of that. And then after basketball, I did CrossFit for about 4 something years. And I was a sports performance coach for about 4 or 5 years as well after college. We just want to show everybody in the OCR community and the ruck community and the military community, OCR hybrid, whatever fitness you're in, we want to show you that anything is possible and you have true potential to be able to do that. And sometimes we just have to figure out what that little, I like to call them lifestyle tweaks and little hacks, because you're doing great, guys. We just have a little bit of change that we need to do to become aware about what our true potential is.
That takes the words right out of my mouth. I mean, you certainly showed exactly how 3GX and Titan 6 Actual plan to work together, and it's like you said, it's not like you're not already operating at a higher level than you already realize or give yourself credit for. But when you discover what your purpose is and you say, I am committed to growing, even if it's 1% better every single day, that cumulative better, whatever it looks like to you, it amounts masses of improvement over time. And wouldn't it be just absolutely amazing if a year from now, your fellow athletes or everyday Titans, or maybe individuals you haven't seen in some time, are like, wow, you really crushed it out there, whatever it may be. Like Sarah said, if it's a OCR or if it is a DECA or doing a ruck or doing some, ultra endurance race, whatever it is, and CrossFit, whatever it is that excites you. I know we do lean certainly on the athletic side, but both of us are very passionate in feeling that the more you build your body strength, endurance, challenging it in a physical way, the more the mental side really does benefit. Doing those hard things, you hear a lot about that more recently, which is great. And that's that, our body needs that stress. It needs good stress. Eustress is what it's called. And by using that to your advantage, that controlled stress, you actually teach yourself mentally and physically that it can overcome it and build resilience. And it translates from the physical side to the mental side. So if you're overcoming a mental obstacle, it's no different in your mind if it's a physical obstacle. And it's like, wait a minute, I just rucked 50 miles with 45 pounds on my back. I can get this. I can knock this project, out of the park, or this business meeting, or whatever it is, or these, little rugrats running around, and organizing chaos of a family, just taking on those daily challenges, whatever it may be. So.
Yeah. Yes. I great examples right there. And the first person that I kind of thought of while you are talking about this was, I know everybody knows who David Goggins is, but I don't think everybody knows about his past life before he did all the 100-milers. He was in an abusive family for a while. His dad was not, a great person, and he felt like he was a victim most of that time. And during that time, he called himself soft and not worthy and all of this stuff. And you see who he is now because he made that choice. You know what? I don't want to be the victim anymore. I don't want to live like anymore. I know that he does it into the extremes, but that's why I'm showing you the difference between who he was then compared to who he is now. It doesn't have to be that extreme. Like we just talked about the 1%. I feel like he's doing 10% every single day. So that 1%, the example is very simple where, let's talk about like reading a book, and you're not great at reading books and that's not what appeals to you, but 1% better is maybe going and walking into a bookstore. Maybe next week, another 1% could be you actually purchasing a book that you might want to read. Another time could be you just putting that book next to your nightstand. Next week, it could be you reading one word on it, like on the title or in the pages, to the point where you finish that book and now you've read 100 books, within, a couple of days. That's something where we're talking about lifelong change, but lifelong change can happen instantly. I feel like everybody wants that quick change, which there is change every single day. We just have to give ourselves credit for it. And I think that's what's going to be the most helpful, being understanding that these 1% are going to give you that lifelong change in the long run.
It's funny because we don't notice our own progress, and it often takes someone close to us to say, wow, I noticed that you're doing this, and just 4 weeks ago, you just started by, like you said, walking into a bookstore, picking up a book, putting it on a nightstand, and then, and that led to wording a page a day, a chapter a day, and maybe a book a month, who knows, whatever the case. And it's important. If you're not one to journal, I'm not personally, but it's nice to surround yourself with people that give you that kind of feedback. So you have that reminder of, wow, I really have come a long way. And it boosts the ego in a positive way, not to be like, better than, anyone else, just to kind of look back and see all of your accomplishments and know that I overcame all of that. What's to say I can't overcome what's in front of me today?
Right. Yeah. And that's why we talked about past adversities. It's something that we're able to talk about now because it was something that was tough in the beginning, but now we know we're not alone, and it's easier for us to be able to talk about certain things like this. And, like that's where the magic really happens. That's why I brought up, we're going to get vulnerable. And that's the point of this. We want to be uncomfortable, and being uncomfortable is how you make progress. And we were just talking about challenging yourself. The brain loves being comfortable. That's why when you have all these plans in the beginning of the day, and then all of a sudden, work is over and you say you're going to go to the gym, you're going to do laundry, you're going to, start this project. And then right when that 3 o'clock bell hits, all of those just go out your mind. And it's just like, you know what, I just want to lay down in bed and do nothing because you're tired. That's what the brain does to us. We want to be comfortable. And that's why when Lou was talking about that additional challenge, we do have to set ourselves up for training and specifically doing those certain things. And I know we keep saying like that we're in the fitness community, but why we brought up that book example, this can be helpful in all spectrums of life. And as long as you want to make some type of change, we can help you get there.
Sarah kind of alluded to what of this podcast, and breaking barriers and what it means. We're particularly going to be deep diving with individuals, everyday athletes, everyday titans, as I like to call them, those that have said, yeah, I'm willing to get a little vulnerable and show you like what you see as maybe in your perspective is a finished product of this hard charger, or someone that's really crushing it out on the course or in the gym or in life or whatever the case may be, that it didn't start there. And there's their own origin story, which is why Sarah and I wanted to share quickly ours. And we're gonna, deep dive with those individuals to help show you, and hopefully you can say, wow, I didn't realize that this individual had all of that going on. And if they can do it, why can't I? And that's how we're hoping to break those barriers. And with that, we'll close out here, but we do want to let you, kind of sneak peek of what's to come. Our very first guest on the podcast, as some of you may know, he's certainly very well known in both OCR and the rucking community, especially, and that's Mark Jones, who's with DECA right now.
Yeah, we're excited for you to hear the other episodes that we're going to have for you, and we can't wait to see you on the other side. Take care,
Thank you for
guys.
joining us on this exhilarating journey through resilience, determination, and the pursuit of excellence. As we wrap up this episode of Breaking Barriers Beyond the Finish Line, remember that the finish line is really just the beginning. Keep pushing your limits, breaking down walls and reaching for the stars. So whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, or simply someone seeking inspiration, know that you have the power to go beyond what you thought was possible.
If you enjoyed today's episode, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more captivating stories, expert insights, and practical tips. And don't forget to share this podcast with fellow dream chasers and barrier breakers. Until next time, this is Grip and Lou signing off, keeping breaking barriers, my friends. Remember, it is not about the finish line. It's about what lies beyond it, and it starts with you.